Hello, welcome back to Kim Reads as we continue with the Kit Surprise. Chapter 4, Jewels. Whoosh! A harsh wind blew sleet into Kit's face. She hunched her shoulders and wrapped her arms tightly around Uncle Hendric's library books to keep them dry. It was Christmas Eve morning, and even a long list of errands and nasty weather could not dampen Kit's spirits. I bet the sleet will turn into snow, she thought. How perfect. It'll be so cozy to have dinner next to the Christmas tree. Kit's family had not had time to put up their Christmas tree yet, but Kit wasn't worried. As soon as she was finished at Uncle Henrik's this afternoon, she'd hurry home and help Dad and Charlie put up the tree and decorate it. Kit skipped with happiness, thinking how surprised everyone would be when she gave Mother the money she had earned. $2.40, enough to pay the electric bill. She had earned the last 35 cents by selling Uncle Hendric's rags to the rag man. Now the boarders won't leave, she thought. Now we can light the Christmas tree lights, and our tree will be as beautiful as every other year. Kit let herself into Uncle Hendric's house. Inky barked at her as she climbed upstairs and nipped at her feet as she went to Uncle Hendric's room. "Stop that, Inky," said Kit, but the irritating dog would not settle down. He was restless all morning, prowling from window to window. Whenever the sleet clattered against the glass, sounding like a handful of thrown pebbles, Inky barked. Every once in a while, there'd be a loud crack when a tree limb weighted down by a heavy coating of ice would snap. Inky howled whenever that happened. When it was time for Inky's walk after lunch, the sleet still hadn't turned to snow. The dog stubbornly refused to go out, so Kit had to carry him squirming and yowling out the back door. "Go ahead and yowl," she said to him. "Even you can't ruin this day for me, you horrible dog." She shivered as she waited for Inky to come back inside. It was bitterly cold, and the sleet showed no signs of stopping. Kit rubbed her arms with her hands. She tilted her head to look at the sky. It looked great and hard, too, as if it were encased in ice. At last, it was time for Kit to go home. She hurried into her coat and put her book bag on her back. She knew it was going to be a difficult and slippery walk home, and she was anxious to get started. "Goodbye," she said to Uncle Hendrik. We'll see you tomorrow." Uncle Hendrik was much better, so he planned to take a cab to the Kitteridge's house for Christmas Day. "What? Oh, yes, of course," said Uncle Hendrik. "Go along now and close the door carefully behind you. I don't want it banging in this wind." "Yes, sir," said Kit. Joyfully, she pounded down the stairs and opened the door. A cruel blast of wind pushed so hard against her that she stumbled back. She bent her head forward, burying her chin in her collar, and pulled the door behind her. Ice slashed at her cheeks and stunned her eyes. The street lights were lit, and the street looked eerily beautiful. The tree branches were shiny with ice and glitter as if they were made of diamonds. Kit took a step forward, and her feet flew from under her. She landed hard on her bottom, so hard that she saw stars. Gingerly, Kit rolled to her hands and knees and tried to stand. She clutched at the iron railing that fenced Uncle Hendric's yard and inched her way back to the sidewalk. It was slow going, and when the iron railing ended, there was nothing to hold on to. Kit fell again. This time she cracked her elbow so badly she winced with pain. Kit blinked back tears. She struggled to her feet again and tried to skate forward, but it was no use. For every step she managed to take, she seemed to slip backwards twice as far. If she couldn't make any headway on the flat ground, there was no way she could get up on the steep hill home, or even to the streetcar stop. Kit's coat was beheaded with pearls of ice, and ice trickled down the back of her neck. Her feet were so numb they were heavy as lead. Sadly, Kit fought her way back to Uncle Hendric's house and let herself inside. "What are you doing here?" Uncle Hendrik snapped when he saw her. "It's too slippery out," said Kit. "May I wait here until the sleet stops?" Uncle Hendrik peered out the window. "It's not going to stop tonight," he announced, having pleased to give such bad news. "You'll have to stay the night." "Oh no," wailed Kit. I can't. It's Christmas Eve. I have to go home." "Don't be ridiculous," barked Uncle Hendrik. "Stop whining. There's nothing to be done. You'll have to call your family and tell them you're staying here tonight." I can't," said Kit. "Why not?" asked Uncle Hendrik impatiently. "Our phone's not connected anymore," said Kit. "Couldn't pay the bill, I suppose," said Uncle Hendrik sourly. "Typical. Well, then you'll have to call someone who can go to your house and tell your parents where you are. Call a neighbor or a friend." A friend? Now Kit's heart felt heavy and leaden as her feet. There was only one person she could call That was the last person on earth she wanted to call. But Kit had no choice. She went to the phone. Reluctantly, she thought, maybe her mother will answer. She thought, but no, when the voice at the other end of the line said hello, Kit knew who it was right away. Ruthie, she said, it's me. Kit spoke all in a rush. I know you're mad at me, but please don't hang up. You don't have to talk to me. I wouldn't have called, but I'm stuck at my Uncle Hendric's house. It's too icy and I can't home. I know you need to tell my parents I'm spending the night at Uncle Hendric's, okay? There was a pause. Okay, said Ruthie. She sounded very far away. Wait, Ruthie, said Kit, one more thing. I wanted to say I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. The line got all cackly, and Inky started to bark and jump up on Kit, so she couldn't hear if Ruthie said anything or not. Finally, she hung up. The room Kit was supposed to leave in was as cold as a tomb and about as cheery. It had brown wallpaper. The bed was huge, with headboard that had wooden gargoyles carved into it. The blankets were mustard-colored and musty-smelling. They were heavy, but somehow they didn't keep Kit warm, even though she pulled them up to her nose. No coal fire had been lit in the fireplace for a long, long time. If we are all evicted from our house and we have to come and live with Uncle Hendrik, will this be my room? Kit wondered. She shuddered. I'd rather live in a dungeon. For endless hours, Kit lay stiff and miserable, listening to the ice pelt against the window and the wind rage and the house creak and shift. She thought about all she was missing at home. By now, they would have finished decorating the tree. It probably looked very nice, though most likely Dad wouldn't have put any lights on it. He didn't know how they were going to be able to pay the electric bill. He didn't know about Kit's surprise. A lump rose in Kit's throat. Just then she heard scratching at their door. Kit hid her head under the covers, but it was no use. The scratching only grew louder. And now Kit heard whimpering. She tiptoed across the freezing floor and opened the door a crack. Suddenly something pushed again. A dark streak bolted across the floor and left on her bed. It was Inky. Kit climbed back in her bed and Inky curled up next to her. This has got to be the worst Christmas Eve anyone's ever had, Kit thought. No one deserves a Christmas Eve as lonely as this, not even Inky. Kit felt so forlorn. She was actually glad for the horrible old Inky's smelly, snuffling company. At least it was warm. After a while, Kit fell asleep. It seemed as if no time at all had passed before a sound woke her. It was the most peculiar thing. Kit was sure she heard jingle bells. She opened her eyes and realized it was morning. The light in the room was murky because of the heavy curtains drawn shut in front of the window. Kit got up and pulled the curtains open. Suddenly the room was flooded with dazzling light. The sun, shining on the dripping, melting ice outside, made prisms of light swim and shimmer on the walls. The sound of the jingle bells was louder. Kit looked out the window, squinting because the bright light was so blinding. She blinked. She couldn't believe what she saw outside on the sidewalk. Ruthie and Ruthie's father there were standing next to their big black car, jingle bells and looking out of the house. Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas! Shouted Ruthie when she saw Kit's face in the window. We've come to rescue you. Hurry up and come down. Kit rose up on her toes in happiness. She banged on the windows. I'll be right there, she said. She slept in her clothes, so all she did was yank on her shoes, which she did, hopping on one foot and then the other before she dashed down the stairs. She flung open the door and ran straight to Ruthie. Oh, Ruthie, she said, I've never been so happy to see anyone in my life. Thank you for helping me. Ruthie smiled. That's what friends are for. Kit smiled too. Friends, she thought happily. When Uncle Hendrik was ready, Mr. Smithens drove them all, including Inky, to the Kittredge's house. Though most of the ice had melted, the roads were slippery, and it was slow going up the hill. Mr. Smithens skidded as he turned into the Kittredge's driveway, but he pulled the car as close to the house as possible. The front door flew open. Mother, Dad, and Charlie and all the boarders poured out calling, Hooray, and Merry Christmas, and Kit, we missed you. When Kit jumped out of the car, everyone tried to hug her at once. I'll come back this evening to give you a ride home, sir, Mr. Smithens said to Uncle Hendrik. Just before she went inside, Kit turned and waved goodbye to Ruthie. Thank you again. See you later, she she called. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Ruthie called back cheerily, waving through the car window. A Merry Christmas it was, as merry as any Kit had ever known. Dad surprised her with a typewriter, fixed and as good as new, and Charlie gave her a box of typing paper. In the typewriter, there was a piece of paper that said, Mother had a surprise for Kit, too. It was a black Scotty dog pin. It was given to me when I was your age, Mother said with a twinkle in her eye. I thought you might like it. Now that Uncle Hendrik is feeling better, you won't be seeing Inky quite as often. At the sound of his name, Inky started barking. Kit grinned at Mother. Thanks, Mother, she said over Inky's ruckus. But the best surprise by far was Kit's surprise. Kit waited until she and Mother were alone in the kitchen, mixing up a batch of waffles. We'll eat next to the tree, said Mother. She smiled a small smile. I'm sure it'll be as lovely as ever, even though I am sorry we can't have any lights on this year. It just seems too extravagant, since we can't pay the electric bill. Oh, yes, we can, said Kit happily. She handed Mother a handkerchief full of coins. Here's $2.40. Mother looked at the money in disbelief. For heaven's sake, Kit, she said, where did this come from? From Uncle Hendrik, said Kit. I earned it. Mother laughed out loud. Kit Kitteridge, she said, there never was a girl like you. Wait till I tell your father. He'll be just as proud of you as I am. She threw her arms around Kit and hugged her close. I hope you're proud of yourself, too. Kit was. At dusk, Ruthie and her father came back. Kit and Ruthie presented the scarves they had knitted to their fathers, who didn't seem to mind that the scarves had no fringe. The Mr. Smithens drove Uncle Hendrik and Inky home, and Kit walked Ruthie back to her house. They were all quiet for a while, then Kit said almost shyly, Uncle Hendrik is all better. Would you like to go window shopping tomorrow? Sure, said Ruthie. The little Scotty pin my mother gave me will look really nice on the collar of your red dress, she said. That is, if you don't mind if I borrow it. It was too dark to see Ruthie's face, but Kit could tell she was smiling. Kit went on to say, that was awfully nice of you to give the ballet tickets to Miss Hart and her boyfriend and Miss Finney and Mr. Peck. We can write about the romantic date in our newspaper, said Ruthie, now that your dad fixed your typewriter. I bet you'll be glad to be writing again. I bet you missed it while you were at your uncle's. Well, said Kit. She hesitated, then she said, Ruthie, I have a sort of a present for you. It isn't store-bought or anything, but I made it for you, and I hope you like it. Kit pulled out a thick envelope out of her pocket coat and handed it to Ruthie. Merry Christmas, she said. Ruthie opened the envelope and took out Sterling's sketch pad. The Story of Princess Ruthie. She read aloud from the cover. She looked through the pages. Kit had written a story to go with Sterling's sketches of Ruthie as a princess. Oh, Kit, said Ruthie, thank you. I know I love it. No one has ever written a book for me before, and about a princess, too. She's a generous princess, said Kit, just like you. In fact, she is you. I was thinking of you the whole time I was writing her. This is kind of funny, said Ruthie. Wait till you see the present my mom and I made for you. Ruthie took out a small package wrapped in tissue paper out of her coat pocket and handed it to Kit. Kit unwrapped it and grinned from ear to ear. Ruthie had given her a doll that was just like Amelia Earhart. The doll was dressed in flight cap and jacket and gloves just like the ones Amelia Earhart had worn in the newsreel. And she had the same good-humored, eager smile, too. Thanks, Ruthie, Kit said. This is the nicest present you could have possibly given me. You're a good friend. You're a good friend, too, said Ruthie. I can't wait to read my princess story. See you tomorrow. Bye, said Kit. Merry Christmas. Kit watched Ruthie run up the driveway and go to the house. And then she turned around to walk home. As she saw her own house down the street, she gasped in surprise. Oh, how beautiful, she whispered. While she didn't walk Ruthie home, Dad and Charlie had put on the lights on the Christmas tree. The lights were lit, and through the window they glowed as brightly as jewels. Kit stood in the cold and stared at her family's house, where they had a happy Christmas over life had taken place. This may be the last Christmas we'll have in our house, she thought, feeling a bittersweet joy. But it's one I'll never forget. It may even be the best Christmas of all. And that's the end of Kit surprise, and we'll see you next time. Bye.